Hello and welcome. I am Shuja Qureshi and you are watching Business Pakistan. Federal Board of Revenue collected 1,002 billion rupees during the fiscal year ending on June 30th, 2008, showing an overall growth of 18.3% on year-on-year basis. Our correspondent Saifur Rahman files this report.
The Federal Board of Revenue has collected a record 1.02 trillion rupees during the July-June period of the fiscal years 2008 against the last fiscal year's achievement of 847.23 billion rupees. FBR Chairman Abdullah Yusuf at a news conference termed it an outstanding performance of the tax machinery during the last 1 year. He said the revenue figure was likely to go up by 4 to 5 billion rupees when the final figures were compiled. He said the board has successfully crossed the psychological barrier of rupees 1 trillion by surpassing the revised target of rupees 990 billion for the fiscal year.
We have achieved the revised target of rupees 990 billion. Till today we have collected the taxes of rupees 1 trillion. This is the first time in the history of Pakistan we have crossed the psychological barrier of rupees 1 trillion. Overall, there is 18.3% growth over the previous year.
Abdullah Yusuf said that partially due to the political unrest and largely due to the prolonged power shortages and decrease in the international demand, the industrial activity slowed down and consequently the revenue collection also suffered. The breakup of tax collection reveals that direct taxes collection was up by 15.4% with a collection of 385.3 billion rupees. Sales tax collection was 375.5 billion rupees, reflecting an increase of 21.4%. The collection of federal excise duty was 91 billion rupees, showing an increase of 26.4%. The custom duty collection stood at rupees 150.5 billion, depicting an increase of 13.8%. Chairman said the government is taking steps to check smuggling and tax evasion under Pak-Afghan Transit Trade Agreement.
एक अफगान ट्रांजिट के साथ एग्रीमेंट हम रिवाइज कर रहे हैं.
We are revising the Pak-Afghanistan Transit Trade Agreement in such a way to minimize the problem of smuggling. We will be installing a tracing system on containers and trucks going across the border.
About the revenue collection target for this financial year, Chairman FBR said the target of 1.25 trillion rupees was achievable as this required annual growth of nearly 25%. While for the last few years, the growth of 20% per annum was recorded. Saifur Rahman, CNBC Pakistan, Islamabad.
The United Kingdom is the third largest overseas investor and fourth largest trading partner of Pakistan. Our correspondent Javed Naqvi spoke to the British Deputy High Commissioner Robert Gibson. Let's find out what he has to say.
Thanks, Shuja. Today we have with us Mr. Robert Gibson, who is the British Deputy High Commissioner. I would like to ask you, what is currently the trade volume between both the countries, Pakistan and the UK?
Well, the trade volume has been roughly stable for the last few years at about £1 billion in total. The balance is about equal, but there's a slight bias in favour of Pakistan, and we're happy with that to remain.
How do you see its future?
I hope it will go up. Very much, yes, in both directions.
Okay, which sectors do you think are attractive for foreign investment in Pakistan?
Well, there are many sectors I think that are attractive in Pakistan for foreign investors. I mean, Britain is already quite a major investor in the power sector through IPP. We also have major investments in the financial services sector. And as you're probably aware, Barclays Bank will shortly be opening in Pakistan, which is a huge investment on their behalf. Standard Chartered are here, HSBC are here, and the Bank of Scotland are here. So there's major interest here in the financial services sector.
Okay, what about new companies?
Well, Barclays Bank is a very new company and will shortly be launching its branches throughout Pakistan. I think we'll open 10 branches in the course of this year altogether.
Okay, other than banking sector, are you looking forward to invest in other sectors as well?
We have lots of interest in other sectors, in the textile industry, in the agricultural industry, but also we're very keen on looking at ways of working with Pakistan in the areas of research and development, because that's where the extra value lies for the United Kingdom in its technical expertise, and that's the areas we certainly hope to promote. We also hope to promote more work on the alternative energy sector. We're all aware of the oil prices soaring through the roof, the energy crisis, the shortage of energy throughout the world. Alternative energy is where it lies, where the future lies, renewable energy. And the UK is a world leader in technology that provides alternative and renewable energy. Scotland, for example, produces the highest percentage of alternative renewable energy of any country in the world. And so this is a technology that we want to share with other countries and work with other countries to improve their energy conservation.
Okay, which Pakistani products do have demand in the UK?
There's a lot of demand for Pakistani products in the agricultural area and especially in textiles. And there are many very successful Pakistani textile companies that export extensive amounts to the United Kingdom and all sectors of the market.
What are your plans to promote bilateral trade between both the countries?
Well, my plan is to encourage communications and visits between the two countries. I very much hope that I can persuade trade delegations to come to Pakistan over the next year, and also to encourage Pakistani businessmen to go to the United Kingdom and see what the opportunities are. Last year we had a very, very successful visit by the Lord Mayor of London, who came with a number of very important city firms. I very much hope we can repeat that at some point in the future.
Okay, are you satisfied with the role of government in this regard?
We are very pleased that the election passed off with so little violence and has been certified by the European Commission election committees as being a credible election. We are very delighted that's happened.
Well, coming to foreign portfolio investment, do you think that the British investors are keen to invest in Pakistan?
There's certainly a lot of interest. When I go to London, I talk to British investors. There's a huge amount of interest in what the opportunities are. And I certainly hope that over the next few months we can benefit from that interest and make some of those opportunities into reality.
Well, since there are immense opportunities in Pakistan's agriculture sector, are the British investors interested in this sector?
Especially if we can bring technology to the fore in irrigation, in water conservation, in maximising the use of crops. These are areas where we have an expertise, a speciality, and there's certainly areas where we want to work with Pakistan, yes.
Okay, how can the British government help in education and health sector?
Well, we already contribute to that through our development programme. As you're probably aware, over the next 3 years, the development assistance to Pakistan is going to be in the region of £480 million. And we certainly hope that a large part of that resource will go towards education and health.
Okay, are there a British delegation coming to visit Pakistan in the near future?
Well, there are a number of events coming up which we hope will have a British delegation to it. There's the Defence Exhibition in November, and there are other exhibitions under plan for later in the year. We very much hope to attract British businessmen to come to that, yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robert Gibson, for giving us your precious time.
Thank you, Javed. Good night.
Prime Minister Syed Yusuf Raza Gilani stresses on local and international banks to play a positive role by covering countries' underserved masses and areas. Muhammad Anwar files this report.
Speaking at the inaugural session on Tuesday of the Development Finance Conference on Expanding Frontiers of Financial Access in Pakistan, organized by the State Bank to mark its 60th anniversary, the Prime Minister said during the outgoing financial year, many external and internal shocks coupled with inaction had severely impacted on the economy. Prime Minister Gilani spoke on the medium-term agenda of economic reforms and development and said it was a desire of the PP-led government to maintain the growth momentum in the range of 6 to 7% over the next 5 years. Economic liberalization, deregulation and privatization in a transparent manner will be core principles of our economic reform agenda. Mr. Gilani pointed out that the private sector was an engine of growth and source of generating employment and said his government would take steps for creating an appropriate atmosphere in this regard, but it was not the government business to run business. The Prime Minister said that with SBP support, Commercial Bank has managed to promote delivery of agriculture credit, which was likely to reach an all-time high of 200 billion rupees and facilitate about 2 million borrowers, of whom 75% were small borrowers.
The financial year 2007 to 2008 has been a very challenging year for Pakistan. Many external and internal shocks, along with policy inactions during most part of the year, severely impacted the national economy. Currently, our economy is facing 4 major challenges. These are deceleration in growth, rising inflation, particularly food inflation, growing fiscal deficit, instability in exchange rate, and widening of trade and current account deficits. The high growth in macroeconomic imbalances shows that the country was living beyond the financial affordability. With the erosion of fiscal management, public expenditures were exceeded the resources availability. The government excessively overborrowed from the central bank, and the demands of the foreign exchange market took the toll on our reserves. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenges are daunting. But Alhamdulillah, our resolve to address these issues is equally stronger. Our government is committed to restoring macroeconomic stability in a reasonable time frame.
Addressing the conference, Dr. Akhtar said that the central bank was launching the financial sector strategy with an explicit objective to help the country achieve higher and sustainable economic growth, develop a dynamic, robust, and stronger banking system, mobilize and domestic and foreign sources for private investment, and deepen the financial penetration for the poor and underserved regions.
The 10-year strategy will stimulate sharper growth in financial assets and aim to double the private sector credit GDP ratio, today at 27% to over 45% or so. Strategy would be financially inclusive because we still have a lot of poor population. It will support small savers, meet the requirements of small borrowers for agriculture, housing, SME, and microfinance sectors. Strategy would aim to modernize wholesale and retail markets and reduce the systemic risks of the financial system by developing an adequate financial safety net for the small depositors while reforming the regulatory architecture to ensure central bank can play an effective regulatory and supervisory role.
Dr. Akhtar said that the prerequisite for financial sector growth, however, is macroeconomics and political stability and augmentation of the enabling policy environment in the real sector.
It's now time for a short break. Keep watching Business Pakistan.